All right, this will probably be our biggest show to date because we're going to be recapping the Elimination Chamber, the TNA No Surrender Go Home show, and then the pay per view from TNA No Surrender. Just like to tell anybody listening on YouTube, you can get this episode quicker through Spotify or anywhere you get your podcast. So if you want to hear it a little bit quicker, because my laziness of putting it on YouTube, you can do it that way. But let's get started with WWE Elimination Chamber. Now, this was a super early one from Australia. I'm sure a lot of people watched it, the replay of it and not live. But, buddy, I give you a lot of credit for even watching the replay of it. How was it? Elimination Chamber match. The women's match started us off.
It was fine. It wasn't anything. I mean, they made a big deal about it, of course, but it was like, it was just a match.
I've heard
And
raving reviews
they
about
did
this.
they did stuff to pop the crowd mostly. I think the way because it's like the Rumble, the people come out of the pods periodically and everybody's counting and all that. So I can understand why they want to do that, but they usually do save the guys for either later in the show or for the main event.
Says here Becky Lynch defeated Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez. Do you think you lose a little bit of luster now that there's two of these types of matches on the show? Royal Rumble, there's two Rumbles. Elimination Chamber, there's two Chamber matches. Do you think the uniqueness is obviously it gets hurt here, right? Doing double these
It's
matches.
it. This seems like a watered down version of it. I think I'd space them 6 months apart, so it's not the same thing one right after the other.
Well, and I heard some pirates were trying to steal the cage just so
Yeah,
it wouldn't have to it
they
wouldn't
had to
have
go
to
a pretty
be this
roundabout.
way.
Had to go a pretty roundabout route. Next time I'm going to finance the pirates. Um, I'll start a GoFundMe for them. Get better equipment.
So
But
anyway, the
yeah, they had to go.
Becky Lynch. Now this gets her to WrestleMania. Is that how this works?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what. I don't know if they've faced off before, but I'm not sure what Becky Lynch is going to get you here. I mean, I guess she's beloved by the crowd, but so is Bianca Belair, and she's kind of rising up. So I think you'd want to use her, but yeah, I'm not booking the thing.
Yeah. So it says Liv Morgan suddenly was rolled up by Belair and pinned her, and then walked right into a manhandle slam by Lynch, giving
Yes.
Lynch the victory.
Yeah, there was no. You thought, okay, well, this is it. This is the final battle. It's like, nope. Damn, boom, boom, she's out.
All
Like
right.
two eliminations, one right after the other.
After that, the undisputed WWE tag titles, Damian Priest and Finn Balor defeat the New Catch Republic, which is Pete
Yes.
Dunne and Tyler Bate. Pete Dunne, did he
Tyler
get his
Bate.
name
Yep.
back?
Yes, he did.
Wasn't he like Noah or Jeremiah or something?
Butch,
Butch. Okay, well there you go.
Butch
Sorry,
something.
I was going through my
Yeah.
Alabama names.
Put him in a 30s driving cap piece of shit. It's like, what? I don't get it. Listen,
So
when you let writers figure out shit for the wrestlers, it's like, that's what you get.
this was supposedly another great match. What says you?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad match. Considering the guys you got involved, it's not too bad. But I don't feel like there was a whole lot of. I wouldn't know because I don't watch. I don't watch a lot of WWE. I was going over all I'd have to watch and then get to the pay per view. It's a lot of stuff to watch.
I sent you, so those people that on X, Twitter, whatever, that do those stats. How much actual wrestling's on a show, or
Mm-hmm.
women's wrestling, blah blah blah. They did one about the Elimination Chamber that I was. If you read it, you're like, no way, because these shows are like 4 hours long, and it
Yeah,
was like a little bit over an hour of wrestling. They said at one time there was almost an hour wait between matches, and
yeah.
what on earth? How? Like this wouldn't slide in the $50 days, you would
No,
be
no.
livid.
For the Aussie audience, it was probably fine because they don't get down there that often. But for the pay per view, yeah, they had to pad the hell out of the thing. They had a stupid, crap ass, raw type segment with what's his name,
This is what we're
um,
about to get into now. Grayson Waller effect.
Grayson Waller.
Who
Yeah, they had that. They had a stupid talk show which was dumb, filled with stupid ass, corny jokes. It just no, it just wasn't worth it at all.
they said this took up a lot of time with Cody
It
Rhodes and
did.
Seth Rollins.
Yep.
They did a
Yep.
shoey, which is drinking beer out of a shoe with a UFC fighter.
Yeah. Just dumb.
Anyway, so what?
Like I said, some to play to the Aussie crowd apparently.
Cody challenges Rock to a one-on-one match.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna somehow do that before WrestleMania. I don't know.
I mean, it'll draw. I mean, can you imagine right now? And can you tell me why? Why is WWE right now just such on an upward trajectory? Like their ticket sales are awesome. You know, the ratings are good. Why?
Hmm. I would have to watch more of the product to tell you.
Yeah,
As
you know what I
far
mean?
as I can tell, it's the same kind. It's the same kind of stuff.
It's just WrestleMania season, right? It has to be, but they were on fire before
It must be.
that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe men's elimination chamber. This becomes this is before the non-binary elimination chamber, which is later in the show. Uh, this was actually surprising to me. This is actually probably the right call here. Drew McIntyre beats Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, L.A. Knight, and Kevin Owens. This sounds like a good lineup, but was it good?
Yeah. It was fine. It was a good, back and forth, beat each other up match. Um, Phil, something that didn't really make a whole lot of sense, I guess. AJ Styles did not have a match on the pay per view or pre show or anything, but somehow he shows up to waffle LA Knight because he's pissed at him. Flies all the way to Australia just to do a chair shot on him
Well, and I
and
heard like
blow
that's
his
that's
chances
like
in
the
the chamber.
longest flight you can get, right? Here to Australia,
Yeah,
it's insane.
yeah. So it's a ways. So I don't know. They like I said, it overall wasn't a bad match at all. It was fun to watch.
Well, so how
Yeah.
did Logan Paul do?
Yeah. He did pretty good. He did some goofy shit like he was drawn on the plexiglass with a marker inside of his pod,
Oh, he drew
killing
a
time.
dick or something.
But he's doing that to kill time till his pod came open. Uh, Kevin Owens, they're still ruining the Kevin Owens grudge against him because Kevin Owens was on him as soon as he got out there and started wailing the tar out of him. So
Yeah.
they're still continuing that.
So
But
it looks
they all did fun.
so it looks like that would be Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, which
Seth Rollins.
that'll be solid.
Yeah, yeah. He said and Rollins said he's just like a few days away from being cleared to come back. So I imagine we'll have some stuff on TV that'll set it up even more.
It's a shame I'll miss that. Triple H came out, said the attendance was over 50,000, and then we got the main event that had Nia Jax in it.
Yes.
Rhea Ripley
So it seems like
defeats Nia Jax.
it's jumbo shrimp. It's
So
military intelligence.
was Ripley able to pull a good match out of this?
She tried.
She gave it a go.
I'm sorry, Nia Jax she's just a boat anchor, as far as I can tell. She's in there. She's up. She's around. So she's in decent enough shape to do it. That's not that good at it. You know. And Rhea Ripley, of course, she's in front of the hometown crowd. And unlike most times, I mean, they'd have had a riot if they had Nia Jax beat her. They Aussie were that into it. So she did end up winning, but again, it was a middling match. It wasn't anything to write home about, in my opinion.
Well, good for them. So the next one is WrestleMania, correct? There's nothing in between this, right?
You know, usually March was when we expected WrestleMania, but I know it's drifted over into April sometimes, so I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
I would
I
think
thought that
so.
was what
So
they usually have. They have one buffer pay per view between Rumble and that one, so I don't
yeah,
know.
so it's probably the next one. I would assume,
Probably.
but there might be some like makeshift one where no titles change and there's nothing interesting on it. But I mean, I think the
Yeah.
next one should be. Um, it'll
Fastlane or some shit.
yeah. If it gets reviewed, that's all on you, brother. So unless there's just nothing going on, I'll probably not see it because the 2 night thing is just I don't. It's a little ridiculous to
It's
me.
too much.
And if I do watch it, it
Yeah.
will be one night probably. It'll probably be the Sunday night or I don't know.
Oh yeah. Leaning on the fast forward button real heavy.
Anyway, now we move on to the longest 2 hours of weekly wrestling, and that's TNA, baby.
God.
Scott D'Amore is long gone, but you can't tell it on these shows.
Yeah.
I read the
Well,
report
and
that he got people together and he offered $10 million for TNA, and it was turned down. That didn't seem like a large number to me.
it didn't to me either. It's like, it seems kind of low. Or it would be low for what Anthem would want for it. Or,
A billionaire conglomerate? Yeah. Hey, how about a mill? Um, no.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's what I heard. But anyway, let's get this show.
Now, like
Go ahead.
the other thing too was a couple of news things. They on I guess on X, Twitter, whatever. They a few of the talents puts an hourglass as a post. I don't know what that means particularly. We're waiting, or you've got a time limit before you do whatever you're going to do. Anthem. I don't know.
Days of Our
Didn't
Lives
really
fans?
explain it. Something.
Yeah.
Sands through the hourglass, bitches. The other one was Josh Alexander didn't exercise his option to renew his contract with TNA. He's going to finish it out, but so far he doesn't look like he's committed to signing with them to stay on. So
Oh, I did read about that. They exercised the option, right? He didn't re-sign, but they exercised the option. Like, so, hey,
right,
I guess they had some kind of clause in there. Which is weird. That seems more sports team
yeah.
than it
You see,
would wrestling.
I think he's just kind of exercising, saying, "Yeah, I'll see what the landscape has, and if I can go somewhere else or something."
I
Which
mean, he could have already
it's
been
smart.
somewhere else. I mean, but
Oh yeah,
he didn't do it. So
yeah, yeah.
here's their nice, comfy bed of nails. Deal with it.
Here you go.
But that is interesting, the hourglass thing, because I don't know how many long-term contracts they have at TNA. But
I didn't look at all the names, but I'm Jordan Grace, Tommy Dreamer. I'm not sure who else.
Jordan
It was
Grace
like
would be
the
a
main
hell of
name.
a pickup for anybody.
Yeah,
Tommy Dreamer, I'm sure, can, drive a forklift at Menards or something.
he can. I mean, he can be backstage doing something, but yeah, don't let's not put him in the ring, please. He's done.
Opening match of the Go Home show, Chris Sabin defeated Jason Hotch. And it seemed like the Good Hands, which are I don't know, they love Mustafa Ali, even though
Yeah.
when the pay per view hit, spoiler alert, they weren't even there for him. But,
At the
or,
pay per view.
or were they?
Yeah. Just briefly.
Oh, briefly. Okay. I just saw the guys in
There was
suits
a
having to
there
claim
was
that
a
they had
pointless
earpieces or whatever.
there was a pointless run in.
Ah,
It didn't
okay.
make any difference. It didn't make any difference in the match at all. Though.
Anyway, Jason Hotch and Skyler must have saw those Young Bucks bloody tuxedos and were like, hey, that looks cool. Let's rip that shit off for gear. I don't know if these guys could be any more buried than they are, but Chris Sabin defeats Jason
Yeah.
Hotch. So these two guys love another guy that hasn't even gone into the company yet, and then they just
Yeah.
job out. So I don't know how far underground Squad can get, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Either way, I
See
mean,
what they do with them.
Saban's good, so
Yeah.
it's worth getting through. Hype video for Ali, of course, and then here we go. The system cut a promo, and what I've said this before. What just a thrown together trio this is. It just I don't know. There's something missing to it. It just seems they seem
Yeah.
tacky.
There's no chemistry.
You know what I mean? And it's obvious.
Yeah.
It's like forced laughing and I don't know. Whatever. Don't like it when they're on the screen. It's what happened to Nick Nemeth here? He hasn't been around.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
I know he's doing the New Japan stuff, but I mean, why didn't they just wait for
why
that
would
to
you,
end?
if you're gonna let WWE, if you're gonna name check WWE and all that shit, why don't you just name check New Japan too?
I don't
You
get it.
know?
Anyway,
Say,
next.
look, we're in a vital wrestling ecosystem here. We're not afraid of mentioning our competitors' names, blah blah blah. But then your supposed big new superstar, you don't mention him for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Simon Gotch defeated Jack Price in a squash. Simon Gotch's entrance doesn't match his gimmick to me.
No.
Like the cyberpunk esque EDM helmet, but then it's him. It just doesn't match to me. It's cool, but I mean, it just doesn't. I don't know. Just a little
Yeah.
minor gripe. Josh Alexander was in the commentary booth. He doesn't ever need to be. That's just not his strength. Just like that talk show he did with the Allen Angels, that wasn't good either. But anyway, it was a squash to get Gotch going a little bit. It was all right.
Yeah.
Grizzled young vets, they do they do good promos. They're fired up.
Yeah.
Video package on Khan. No one needs to see that. Then I talk about how the system's a bunch of is a thrown together trio, right? But how about this thrown together trio? Steve Macklin, the clean cut, no nonsense Marine, with the Rascals, two like goofy young stoners. I mean, they've had vignettes where they're just high and everything, and taking nothing serious. And these three guys are a thing. They hang out.
Yeah. I think they're really severely limited by their talent pool. Like it's been said, Scott Demore was trying to get more budget to get more people in there, to get more talented people in there, whatever. And if you didn't get that, you got to work with what you got. And if that's the only thing they got is this, you already got this other tag team, involved with the system. You got the one guys, I guess you got with Mustafa Ali. How much is left? You know?
I don't know. It just seems again like a thrown together thing. It doesn't make much sense. I mean,
No.
whatever.
Especially when it's supposed to be Macklin against Nemeth. Just leave it at that. You didn't need to gild it up any.
And there's no Nemeth there now, so it's odd.
No.
It just got cut off, and now this is the new feud, and we have Steve Macklin defeating Trent Seven. Trent Seven's never seen a gym he didn't like. No, I'm just kidding. He's never seen a gym.
This wasn't quite a squash match, but it might as well have been.
This was a solid match. I mean, everything. Both these guys do everything pretty good. But much like every Steve Macklin match, it's so vanilla, I don't care. The dude is just vanilla. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he did do like a spear to the guy's balls. You know, like in a tree of woe. You know, that was kind of cool. But yeah, like you said, Macklin took most of this match with a guy that's debuting that you have signed to a somewhat long term contract. That's weird to me. Like,
Yeah. They're working around. I guess, I mean, that's a case where we're a little small time. So if the big star needs to go to Japan for a little while, then we'll just figure something out. And this is what they figured out, apparently.
yeah, well, good on them. Of course, this is TNA, so there had to have been shenanigans and, you know, all kinds of run-ins and shit. So, whatever. So Macklin gets the victory. Giselle Shaw backstage again saying that the entourage is no more, which is like the third or fourth time we've heard this.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. There's no more. I get it. And then we go backstage, and Trent Seven and Bailey, they're there with the Rascal. Again, TNA loves their backstage. They could cut a lot of this out. They really could.
Yep.
But
prolong the matches a little, or even stick it with the accumulated time. Put some of the lower card guys there to do something.
They don't need to show the system multiple times. They don't need to show the Rascal. Just once. Just once. It's all good. Just once.
Yep.
Frankie Kazarian comes out to the ring, or to the ramp, I'm sorry. Said he wasn't in the mood to wrestle Eric Young, and said that, what did he say? Someone from the past is haunting him or something. And it ends up being a Big Damo, which is, I haven't seen him since WWE gave him the walking papers. And this match was fine. But you know what wasn't fine after Eric Young defeats Big Damo is whatever mindless rambling he said afterwards. He was like, I don't understand what's going on with you, Kazarian. I don't understand anything, but I do understand what's going in my. And you're just like, dude, come on, this is rough.
Stop.
Rough. Anyway, Tasha Steele's talking about Zaya Brookside, and then Jody Threat and Danny Luna were backstage also talking about that tag division, that stacked tag division.
Was this like did they put the wrong one on the show? Because this is a horrible promo.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. When TNA's bad, it's bad. Mm-hmm. And then I will admit here, the personal concierge of Ash by Elegance. This was kind of a cool little take on it. He got in there, you know. He asked the jobber, "Hey, what's your name?" And he made the referee and the jobber leave the ring. And he, you know, it was cool. I was prepared to really hate this, and it wasn't all that bad. So
yeah.
He announces the Ash by Elegance, and it wasn't the worst squash match you'll see. It was all right.
Yeah.
But I could see it getting old pretty quick if they're just gonna have him out there all the time. You know what I mean?
Very. Yes.
If he's just doing that for pay-per-views, cool. You can't have him doing it every week. You know what I mean? It's just Anyway,
I'm sure he'll do it to a degree all the time till it's worn out.
Oh, the system. Here we go again. They defeat Alex Shelley, Kushida, and Kevin Knight. I like the Moose Kevin Knight stuff. I didn't mind that. The rest of it was just paint by numbers to me. It wasn't bad. Again, it wasn't bad.
And again, we're setting up for a pay-per-view, so we're not going to do anything crazy to get anybody hurt before the actual pay-per-view.
Yeah, the crowd said the system sucked, so it's smart crowd. They're smarts, you know. They know their stuff. But anyway,
that's right, isn't it? The system sucks.
Anyway, they kept the system looking strong, which that's usually not typical because like for the longest time going into a pay per view, they would probably actually put over uh, the baby faces here, but that wasn't the case as the heels end
Yeah.
up going over both nights, which I didn't. That's another spoiler alert, but I didn't think
And it
that
seemed
was
like
necessary.
they were trying to put over the system as maybe going to pull a fast one on Moose or something. They kind of set that up as a possibility, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, so yeah, they're trying to say, you can't throw in the towel. You can't throw in the towel.
Hmm.
I okay, and
Like you're foreshadowing that they're going to throw in the towel.
yeah, which is fine. And then that's happened before in matches. But here's where I have a
Right.
problem as we are now getting into the pay per view, and I'll get a little bit out of order here, but how in the living hell is Moose and Alex Shelley no DQ, but Khan and PCO is just a regular everyday catch as catch can match, even though
Yes.
they've
Is
been
it?
going to town on each other outside the ring for weeks and
That's
killing each
that's
other.
obviously that's the kind of match they specialize in, man.
That's TNAing, right? That's so
Just
ridiculous.
yes, it is. It's like you've never watched the show before, but you're our loyal fans. Yeah, we're loyal fans. We've watched the show before. In fact, we've already watched a lot of wrestling, and we know that's not how this should work. Don't tell us. Don't piss on our head and tell us it's raining. Basically,
Yeah. So anyway, now we get into No Surrender. Crowd was pretty up for this. Again, another a
hmm
good TNA crowd this time. Some of these tapings are hit or miss, but it seems like I guess the big
yeah.
shows, will get the good crowds. I believe.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
there was apparently there was one that fan filmed. I think might have been a fan from TNA. The Eric Young had a lot of people. A lot of the roster came out with Eric Young, and they did sort of a little rally the troops speech about TNA and the time they knew, and he was acting all borderline emotional about it and that kind of thing. I'm not sure what he was trying to convey. If he was trying to kind of subtly say, it's we know Scott's gone, we're all not completely okay with that, but we're going to forge ahead, or if this was supposed to be some kind of subtle signal to Anthem to say, hey, you better do this shit right, or you're going to have a kind of a mutiny on your hands. But he was never that threatening or that blatant about it. He just basically said, we're going to make this work as best we can, because that's what we're supposed. That's what you do is you get up and keep going.
Well, I mean that's
It
that's
seemed it
inspirational.
seemed bland. It seemed bland, and it seemed like they were sending a signal to someone, but there wasn't a super clear signal what he was trying to send with that speech.
I mean that's what Demore was coming out doing, right? Screaming TNA and
Mm-hmm.
crocodile tears and shit like that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. I can't tell the difference. What's
Not so
different?
far.
I mean, yeah, not yet. I mean, he's been gone, not a month,
Yep.
but I can't tell the difference. I mean, like this. I think this was pre-show match. Rascals defeat Speedball Mountain. So Trent Seven's doing a reverse Goldberg here in his early TNA tenure. But again,
Yep.
guess what? There's going to be some interference, man. Of course there is.
Yeah.
When
Because
the
back there
ref
wasn't
gets
anything else to do.
distracted. Yeah, exactly. So Macklin comes out, chop block to Bailey, and then I don't know if there was a heel hook or a knee bar or whatever. But anyway, Rascals beat them.
Yep.
Whatever. Again,
But I watched the regular pay per view, and I realized there was a pre show. I went back and watched the pre show. This match I thought was actually pretty good. It was a good opening match to get the crowd fired up. It was very quick paced, a lot of one after the other stuff. I don't think the Macklin thing was necessary, but
That's why TNA, they mar themselves with. They'll have a good match like this, and then it'll be marred with the bullshit, the distractions,
Yeah.
or the run.
Stuff,
Who cares? Just
stuff you don't
wins
need.
or losses. It's not that big of a deal, but not this. Like I don't know.
And again, well, and the thing with not noticing a difference so far, they had to build up to this pay per view, and Demore apparently had a lot of his hand in this to get it to the pay per view. So maybe the next week we'll see something a little different. Hopefully.
Well, I have
But
taping results.
again,
We'll talk about after the show. They've already
okay.
taped, so we'll see how different it is. But tell me this: the whole keep someone strong by them losing theory, like the Trent Seven thing. Macklin beats him, but there is shenanigans, interference. So I mean, you never know. And then he loses again now. Again, interference, a little bit of shenanigans and stuff. Now, do you still in your head, like, man, that Trent Seven, he's pretty strong, or do you just think, well, he's just a loser?
I was actually more with this. The one I saw against him and Macklin solo, I was like, this, but because it was kind of a squash. I'd never really seen him wrestle before. Like I said, I'm back in watching TNA period for the past couple months.
Well, I
He
mean,
looked better in this match than he did in that one.
yeah.
But again, yeah, he loses, and if they're going to count, if winning and losing matters, then yeah, he doesn't look as strong as he should.
The System, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers defeat Kushida and Kevin Knight.
Yep.
What'd you think about this?
Minus all any other bullshit. I still thought this was a pretty damn good match. Fun one to get the crowd pumped up. They had two of them in a row. Pretty decent matches just for wrestling's sake.
I don't think there was any real stinkers on No Surrender.
No,
well, sorry. Let's get into a stinker.
We'll get there shortly.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
sorry.
get there shortly.
I looked at what's next, and I lied. I'm already lying.
Yeah.
Eric Young defeats Frankie Kazarian to earn a future TNA World Title shot. Frankie Kazarian comes down and demands the ring announcer to say that he's the king of TNA, as if this is something to be, proud of. Is this like being the tallest midget?
Prettiest guy in prison.
Right? And then, who cares? And the end of this match was ass.
Yes.
It wasn't a particularly good match in the entirety of it, but then at the very end, just after the backstabber and what is it, the fade to black, Kazarian randomly argues with the ref because it's close count, right? And then it wasn't quite a crucifix bomb because or maybe it was supposed to be. I don't know. It kind of ended up being a little bit of a sloppy crucifix by a guy that was just nearly pinned. Eric Young gets the win over Kazarian, and then immediately starts, grinning, and this wasn't good.
No, the crucifix roll up type. It's a roll up, but it's at least you approach it differently with the crucifix.
Yeah, it's still borderline.
It's still a roll up. Yeah, he didn't do anything. He didn't really do anything traumatic to Kaz to warrant a pin.
And then
that's the ones I always have a problem with.
And then Kazarian goes nuts on the ref, and some of this looked pretty good actually. But
initially initiating it looked kind of awkward.
Yeah, I know because
you're not paying attention.
Yeah, when he was grabbing him, is that what you're talking about? Yeah. It was kind of like, that was kind of like weird. It was almost like he was.
I'm supposed to beat on you.
Yeah, like pulling the invisible rope or whatever. That's what it looked like. You know what I mean? Yeah.
After he wailed on him, that's cool. But then none of the wrestlers came out. It was all referees and security.
Oh, and at first it looked like nothing but refs by the the camera angle. I'm like,
Yeah.
who gives a damn if it's 5 refs? And then they're like, security's here too. I was like, oh, well, all right. But at
All right.
first it looked like nothing but refs. I'm like, who cares? But anyway.
It's a gauntlet match.
Who would have thought that this was going to get to match 3? But it did. ABC defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans. I don't know if this was the way to go unless Grizzled Young Veterans aren't full-time and long-term or, I don't know contracts. But
Yeah.
I would have went the other way with this just because ABC, Bay and Ace Austin, they've been established. They've been a team. They've had these belts. They've been around a long time. I would have maybe made them chase it here, but I mean, good match. What's your thoughts on it?
I thought it was a good match. It was mostly typical, but there's some good tag moves here and there. But yeah, if they've had a good, decent run with it, it was probably time for them to chase the belts with a heel team having them. That's usually a really good formula.
They did like a kind of a doomsday device, suicide dive kind of deal.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That
like
was
I said, some of the moves were great. The wrestling you usually can't fault in TNA. It's just the angles you do and the results you put out don't make for a very compelling story.
And of course, we got to have a backstage segment. Rascals and Speedball Mountain, and I think he was just saying, you tapped out and fake cried or whatever.
Yeah.
You just said that you can't really fault the wrestling. The wrestling is great in TNA, and that's maybe not indicative of this next match.
Ooh,
as PCO defeats Khan, and Khan came out. What did he look like a lumberjack? Is that what he was going for? A little bit of a lumberjack, but that likes to ride his hog on the weekends too. Is that what that was? PCO comes out with his typical, ridiculous. Doctors are shocking him. I mean, nowhere near, his body, but shocking him to life or whatever it is. This was the worst thing on the show. But did we expect that? Yeah. We expect that.
Yeah. It was a cluster. It was a cluster because they didn't set it up as if they'd have put it in context, like you said, here we're gonna have them put on a nice technical Greco-Roman match. That was never gonna happen with these guys. That's not their gimmicks. So don't present it as a standard match where they can get a DQ. These two are here to rip each other apart. That's at least all we've ever seen from them coming up to this match.
Yeah,
so just make it that.
Yeah, ends up being a DQ, and then they just brawl, and they've already successfully made that his neck snapping gimmick kind of stupid because he did it to Diener. Diener's fine. He did it to PCO. PCO's he's done it to PCO like 6 times now.
Twice.
Right,
twice in this match.
Twice in this match alone, but he did it to him before. Weeks prior. It doesn't matter. Obviously it's not killing the person, but neck snapping. It's just
the rolling senton onto the apron looked kind of like it was a mistake.
Yeah,
but it's like, dude, you're a big dude. I wouldn't be doing that a whole lot.
Yeah, and the worst part about this is an ending.
No, this is just the stupidest part. He comes in and he does some zip ties him to the set, does his neck snap again, and he barely sells it. Starts moaning and groaning again, and he's got him at his mercy with that zip tie situation. He just turns around and leaves.
Yeah. Finally has him where he would want him, you would think, but nah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I snap your neck. I'll see you later.
This leads us to the wrestler of the week for me, and it is PCO. This was great.
He won the match.
You damn right he did. Yeah. Anyway, MK Ultra defeats Decay. What you got thoughts on this?
Battle of the Edgy Goth Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Again,
No
it was a
thoughts.
match. It was a match. I didn't really. I'm not invested in either one of these teams. It's like the two heel teams beating each other. Nobody. You gave me no compelling reason why I should care.
Backstage, more system, because that's what you don't want to see.
Well,
Moose tells him, no matter what, you just don't throw in the towel. Just you can't, So we're trying to build up a little bit of drama with that.
right.
And then we have Josh Alexander defeating Simon Gotch. What are your thoughts on this before I get into mine? Because
I mean, they're building Alexander. If he, with the Will Ospreay thing, they got to keep him going. Otherwise, that was kind of pointless.
I expected better.
Um, again, like I'm going to say, virtually every match, good match. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that they were doing a lot of exchanges of actual holds and locks and reversals and stuff like that. I don't know. Again, like you said with the goofy ass mask thing, I don't know what that is. That seems to be a trend in wrestling lately. We'll come out there wearing a mask and whip it off your head to make it look like some big scary reveal or something. It's like, I know it was you, dude. I saw you last week. Eh.
Who's under the mask?
His
Oh,
chest.
it's Gotch.
His chest look weird, man. I don't know if he was on something. Now he's not on it anymore because it looks like his nipples are melting off of his pecs.
I think he's a former foodie. I mean, I really do. I think he was a big boy at one time or something.
Was he?
I think so.
I don't remember him looking like that. I guess he wore a singlet when he was in WWE, so
Yeah,
maybe I didn't get to see that. But yeah, that just struck me as, man, your nipples are below your pecs, man. Is that what's supposed to happen? They're migrating. Let's see. I thought it was funny. Gotch went over to whatever his name is now, Aiden English, and did a promo about being manly real briefly. I thought that was kind of funny with the vaudevillains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then other than that, like I said, it wasn't a bad match, but it was super quick. I don't know if it's not over. They're going to try to continue the program for a little while.
Well, I think with, like you said,
Alexander got the win.
With the lack of roster, they have to kind of do rematches nonstop and stuff. But yeah, powerbomb backbreaker into the whatever he calls the pile driver.
C4 spike pile driver.
Okay. And yeah, it was good. I just expected more. I don't know why. Maybe it was a little slow for my likings, but I mean, it was a good match. It was fun.
Yeah.
Backstage, AJ Francis, Rich Swann, something about explosion. I don't know. I thought this was going to be the Hendry AJ Francis stuff, but I guess that's not the case.
Yeah. I wish I knew what was going on there because that seems like that's more the feud. But they're building to Rich Swann, but they're ignoring what they could actually have with Hendry.
Strange. A couple things are strange, but I don't know. Maybe Hendry's, he's off doing other stuff too. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't look that deep into it. Moose retains the TNA World Title by beating Alex Shelley. Was this the right call for you?
I mean, either way, it didn't really. If it broke up the system, I'd rather that Shelley won.
Yeah.
But the way it was done, I don't know if they should have let Kushida handle the towel bit because it just looked.
It wasn't
out of
good.
nowhere and awkward.
I didn't love that. And then this was. I dare you say this was another good match. It was.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean,
this is what the PCO con match should have been. They should have had these stipulations on them and had a slightly different. The throwing in the towel thing was just dumb.
Yeah,
it wasn't done well, and I don't think it was never going to look good.
They set up a trash can kind of in the middle of the ring if no one's seen it, and it kind of looked like there was going to be something a lot more brutal than what it ended up being.
Yeah.
But for a second, I'm like, oh
It's,
man, this could be bad.
but it's still one of those cheap ass tinfoil trash
Yeah, he ended
cans.
up kind of sliding off the front of it.
Yeah, it looks bad, but it's not really bad.
But anyway, he puts like a log chain around his body and starts spearing Alex Shelley, and it would hurt both of you, by the way.
Yes.
But
Yes. The
okay.
whole bending, finger breaking stuff looked a little more painful and gruesome to me than wrapping a chain around your body doing spears. I just thought it was a crap ending because they didn't. The Kushida throwing in the towel thing was just it didn't look right.
Again, we discussed this earlier. This TNA. Alex Shelley still looks strong with a loss.
Yeah.
When no, he doesn't.
No.
Because if there's no rematch or nothing, you're not going to be like, hey, you remember when Alex Shelley looked strong against Moose?
Yeah.
No, I
Moose,
don't
Moose
get why
walked out with the belt.
Yeah, I mean now Moose looks. I mean Moose looks pretty strong. Yeah, just because I mean he was in control, and then
Yeah.
afterwards he, speared him again. But I don't know. And the next program is Moose Eric Young. Paint me not so excited for that.
Oof. Hey, Kazarian's going to interfere. I'll call it now.
You are not going out on a ledge, my friend.
No, I'm not. That's the problem.
Do you think Eric Young will have his plastic Doctor Doom mask on?
I hope not. I hope he just abandons that crap. It's a dumb gimmick.
He's crazy,
like
man.
Gotch.
I don't know.
Crazy in that he puts 2% milk instead of whole milk on his cereal. That's about as crazy as he fucking gets. As his character looks.
TNA Knockouts title. Giselle Shaw, who's been carrying around that big red X.
Yes.
I think you mentioned on a previous show how stupid that is.
Yeah. It's
anyway.
great. Once you turn it in, you don't need to carry it around anymore. Just say I turned in my X Division championship for a title shot. Option C.
Yeah, it just looks stupid too. I mean,
yeah, it's using it as a weapon's dumb. It's unwieldy. It's big.
I always thought carrying around a briefcase was kind of stupid, because I mean,
yeah,
and I mean honestly, you have to really, the contract and the briefcase thing, because how many matches are just set up when someone says, "Well, we're gonna wrestle now," and the other person's like, "No, I don't want to," but they have to. Well, did you guys sign that contract? So that's suspending disbelief on the whole contract thing. But man, you're carrying around a big plastic X or whatever that is.
Yeah, that just looks stupid. The briefcase I can see because it's not that far from a title belt, and they waffle guys with that all the time. It's a big metal briefcase that makes a little sense. The X thing just looks kind of silly.
I carry around a fleshlight. Anyway,
I'm either hitting somebody with it, or either way, I'm having a good time.
Right. Jordan Grace defeats Giselle Shaw, and Jordan Grace, I was pretty impressed with her in this one. A lot of good moves here, and it made me want to watch her more and more. So
she looked good, but she couldn't quite pull a decent one out of Shaw, I don't think. And part of it is, this gets to a whole thing that I'll cap this off with, but they did introduce Giselle Shaw as a quintessential diva. It's like, that's the problem. That is the whole problem.
Yeah,
having Ash come out there to sit there and watch the match. Okay, whatever.
Wasn't on commentary, correct? I don't believe.
Just ringside.
Were they worried about exposing her mic skills or something? Because they could have had the personal concierge on the mic or something.
Yeah, that's what I think. Remembering some of her promo work from WWE, pretty sure he's going to be a fixture for her. But Giselle Shaw, she tried to hit what could have been it's a flourishy type thing. A diving splash is pretty standard. She was trying to do this twisty in the air, spinny splash. She kind of botched it. Didn't look quite right. She was setting Grace was setting her up for a pump handle type thing, and she had reached her hand under her crotch to, hopefully grab her hand, but she didn't have her hand in position. So Grace was there flapping her fingers like, "Hey, your hand, your hand," and she had to quickly put it in there. And she did redeem herself a little bit by doing the Spanish fly to the floor.
And there's a joke in there that I'm not going to
Yeah.
tell since Giselle Shaw is transed up.
But then Grace does the Juggernaut driver to get a pin. Like I said, overall wasn't horrible, but I could see a lot of screw ups. I think their editing team does a great service to them, if that's what goes on pretty regularly.
This I can't believe that this was going to be the first X Division title main event in 18 years. Seriously?
Mm.
Well, and if that's the case, that's ridiculous. But hey, there's an actual X Division match on a TNA show. When's the last time we seen that? I mean, I guess Saban beat that jobber last on the Go Home show, but then the X Division has not been a thing for like a few weeks.
No.
And now it's the main event.
No, again, for something that was their kind of standout thing before NXT and all that stuff. You'd think they'd trade on that a little bit more, but again, the roster is kind of anemic.
And here we go. This is what I was talking about. The next program's Jake something is taking on the winner of this. Now, Jake can beat the X Division guys, but if it's Frankie Kazarian, he's going down. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Why did that match have to happen?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what's your thoughts on the Mustafa Ali Chris Sabin X Division title match? And was the entrance corny to you like it was to me? It just seemed like Ali in his typical wrestling gear.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like a rip away tux or anything like that.
No.
So it looked odd.
I officially hate this gimmick.
No, it's not.
I think they should.
Yeah.
I think they should just drop it. You don't need. It's for one thing. It's too late. That whole thing is come and gone.
Is Ali even old enough to be president in real life?
I don't think so.
You know what I mean?
But,
it doesn't fit him.
And they tried to what's his name tried to even bolster it up by saying that he was polling really well. With who? Why? Dude, you're trying too fucking hard. It's not convincing. It's not going to get him over. Just knock it off. If you want to have him come down there with cornermen to interfere or even take hits for him, that was a fairly unique use of the silent Secret Service guys
who
they protect getting taking a hit.
Who were kind of dweebs that didn't know when to have their hands up for the earpiece.
And yeah, but yeah, again, hate this gimmick. It's just dumb and it's useless. It doesn't add anything to Ollie's character at all. But again, good X Division match. They did some really cool stuff. The unnecessary interference with the good hands. It didn't make a difference in the match at all. Sabin was back on top for a minute, then Ali was back on top. It just didn't do anything. They just stuck him in there to keep him involved, I guess.
So
and they needed the 450 bomb for the finish.
So yeah, Chris Sabin, obviously, very solid. You won't see like a mediocre match out of him. So you knew it was going to be it's
No.
good. And this is Ali's, his get good tour. Like I'm
Hmm.
and he's don't get me wrong, he seems more indie than what like Nick Nemeth is doing. This,
Oh, yeah.
he definitely seems like he can thrive on this indie scene and this kind of stuff more than Nick Nemeth. Whether he does or not, who knows? But
Right.
he can obviously pull off a lot of the stuff. Crowd was
We'll see what
definitely
they have to say.
behind Ali. The
Oh yeah.
heel, was he a
There was it,
heel?
it seemed kind of split.
What is he? Is he a bad guy? I guess he's a bad guy. He's a heel.
Apparently,
Anyway, it was a
because
good match,
he
and
came out there. He came out there with help. So
yeah.
you know,
And they said this is what the first time someone debuted and won the title. I think that's
is it?
I think that's what they said. I could have been wrong.
Huh.
I mean, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I totally missed the good hands coming out and interfering, like I said earlier. So maybe
Yeah.
I was probably, but you know what? I watched the
It was a
shows
blink and
back
you.
to back.
That's why it was a blink if you miss it thing. That's why it was useless.
Yeah, so I must have. I don't know. I must have been looking away or something. I
Yeah.
don't know, but anyway, so that's so overall. What do you say? It's good matches,
Yeah.
bad storylines to me, and not. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
so
If you're just tuning in for work rate, you probably wouldn't be horribly disappointed. It was an okay watch. But if you're looking for something compelling to shore up the matches to make them that much more compelling, you didn't get shit.